The basement smelled of sweat, damp wood, and cheap beer. Neon lights flickered against cracked walls. A crowd pressed shoulder to shoulder around the small ring, chanting for blood. The announcer's voice echoed through the underground dojo. Announcer, next up a special exhibition match, our undefeated black belt Rio. The crowd erupted. Rio strutted into the ring, cocky grin flashing, bowing theatrically. He wore his belt loose like he didn't even need it. Who's got the guts? Tonight, anyone. No one moved. The regular fighters knew better. Then his gaze shifted to the corner, to a man mopping the floor, worn boots squeaking against the mats. You, janitor, don't look away. I'm talking to you. The crowd burst into laughter. Heads turned toward the man with gray at his temples, plain shirt clinging to sweat. I'm just here to clean. Clean? What, the floor with your face? Come on, let's see if a mop hand can throw a punch. The audience roared with approval. Kai froze, hand tightening on the mop handle. His mind flicked elsewhere, to Lily, her small chest rising with difficulty as she slept, tubes by her bedside, her whispered words, "Daddy, promise you'll be home tonight." The announcer egged it on. Do we have ourselves a brave volunteer? Or is the janitor too scared? The crowd began to chant, "Fight, fight, fight!" Kai exhaled slowly. His posture shifted, not eager, not reckless, just resigned. He stepped into the ring. Gasps spread through the room. The janitor had accepted. Oh, this is going to be fun. Try to last one punch, old man. That's all I'll give you. Yes. Referee barely lifted his hand before Rio lunged lightning fast, his fist cutting through the air. But Kai moved effortlessly, his arm rose palm open, catching the strike mid-swing. The sound of impact cracked through the dojo like wood snapping. Rio's eyes widened. The crowd gasped. "No way! Did you see that?" Rio stumbled back a step, shaking his wrist, disbelief etched across his smug face. Lucky block, he charged. Again, this time with a roundhouse kick aimed straight at Kai's ribs. Kai sidestepped, barely shifting his weight, letting the strike whistle past. His hand tapped Rio's shoulder, redirecting him off balance. The black belt nearly toppled over. The crowd wasn't laughing anymore. Silence, then nervous murmurs. That guy, he's no janitor. Rio's grin faltered. Sweat dotted his brow. He circled Kai, searching for an opening. Kai's expression never changed, calm, steady like stone. "Go home, kid. This isn't your fight. Shut up!" He rushed again, fists flying in a blur. The crowd screamed. Kai's body reacted with muscle memory. Block, parry, step inside, elbow raised, pivot. His movements weren't flashy. They were precise, military, efficient. One strike landed, not on Kai, on Rio. A sharp palm strike to the chest sent the black belt staggering backwards, crashing against the ropes. The dojo erupted. Shocked voices overlapped. Some cheered, some booed, but all knew they had seen something impossible. The janitor had just humiliated their champion. Rio wheezed, clutching his chest, eyes burning with humiliation. "You, what are you?" Kai stepped back, lowering his hands. His voice was steady, but his eyes carried years of buried battles. "I told you, I'm just here to clean." But that night in the underground dojo was more than a fight. It was the spark that would unravel a conspiracy buried deep inside Voss Industries. Behind that single blocked punch lay secrets powerful enough to topple empires. The crowd still buzzed as Kai stepped off the ring. Voices blended into a storm of disbelief, cheers, and anger. He kept his head low, slipping through the sea of bodies toward the exit. He wanted to vanish into the shadows. But the shadows had already noticed him. A woman blocked his path, dark coat, hair tied neatly, eyes sharp as glass. She didn't belong in a place like this. Impressive reflexes for a janitor. Kai paused. His instincts told him to walk. "Away, Kai. You've got the wrong guy." "Do I?" Sergeant Kai Mercer, 3rd Recon Unit, Black Ops contractor for Phoenix Group. Ring a bell." His stomach tightened. He hadn't heard those words in years. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about, and so do the people watching you tonight." She slipped him a card. A logo embossed in silver. Voss Industries. "We could use a man like you. There's a mess that needs cleaning." Kai stared at the card, then back at her. "I'm not interested. You should be, because one way or another, Voss is about to touch your life again. And when it does, you'll want to be on the right side of the deal." She turned, heels clicking against the concrete floor, disappearing into the crowd. Kai's jaw clenched. He dropped the card into his pocket without looking. The city streets were quiet when he reached his apartment. The old building creaked with every step. He unlocked the door softly, careful not to wake his daughter. Inside, a small lamp glowed. Medical supplies cluttered the table. A child's laughter echoed faintly from a tablet playing cartoons. "Daddy, you're late again." Kai's face softened instantly. He set down his jacket and crouched beside her bed. "Had to work overtime, sweetheart. Someone spilled a lot of mess tonight." Lily giggled, then coughed, sharp, painful. A thin line of blood smeared her lips. Kai's heart froze. "Lily, hold on!" He scooped her into his arms and rushed out the door. The hospital lights were too bright, too sterile. Machines beeped rhythmically, masking the sound of Kai's ragged breathing. Doctors swarmed around Lily's small body. "Rare pulmonary collapse. We've stabilized her for now, but it's progressing." Kai grabbed the doctor's arm. "Tell me what she needs. Anything." "There's an experimental drug. Early trials suggest it could slow the degeneration, but it's proprietary." Kai, proprietary? Owned by Voss Industries. It's not yet approved. Only trial patients are eligible. Kai staggered back. The name hit him like a fist. Voss, the doctor sighed. "I'm sorry, without access, her chances are..." Kai cut him off, voice trembling with rage. "Don't say it. She's all I've got." He looked at Lily through the glass window. Her small hand twitched weakly against the blanket. He had tried to bury his past, but fate had dragged him back. The same corporation that held his daughter's cure was the one asking for his silence. Later that night, Kai sat by Lily's bed, holding her tiny hand. Her breathing was shallow but steady. "Daddy, promise. You'll stay." Kai swallowed hard. "Always." But even as he said it, his eyes drifted to the card Clara had given him, lying on the bedside table. The silver logo gleamed under the lamp. Voss Industries. The only way to save his daughter was to step back into the world he swore he'd left forever. Kai pressed his forehead against Lily's small hand, whispering through clenched teeth, "I'll find a way, baby. I'll tear the world apart if I have to." The card waited silently. Like a loaded weapon, the decision had already been made, and so the janitor, the soldier, the father, was pulled back into a war he never asked for. A war where the price of survival was his soul, and the life of the only person he couldn't lose. The next evening, Kai sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the business card like it might bite him. Clara's words still echoed, "We could use a man like you." He hated himself for dialing the number. The phone rang once, twice. Then her voice, "I knew you'd call. This isn't a yes. Just tell me what you want." "You want your daughter alive. We have the drug that can help her. That's the reality. So here's the offer. You work for us. Quiet work. Night shifts at headquarters. Officially, you're a janitor. Unofficially, you'll clean up problems that need a particular skill set. You're blackmailing me with my kid's life. I'm giving you a chance to save her. Don't confuse the two." Kai closed his eyes, jaw tight. "Fine, I'll do it." "Good. Tomorrow night. Voss Tower, sub-level entrance. Don't be late." The skyscraper loomed over the city like a monolith of glass and steel. At night, only a few lights glowed in its upper floors. Kai swiped the badge Clara had mailed him. The lock clicked open. Inside, everything gleamed: polished floors, chrome. Walls, silent cameras tracking every movement. A guard at the front desk barely looked up. New night shift? ID, Kai flashed the badge. The guard shrugged. Elevators to B2, that's your floor. The elevator ride was silent, humming with sterile music. Kai caught his own reflection in the chrome. Not the soldier he once was. Not the janitor he pretended to be. Something in between. The doors slid open to reveal a cavernous hallway, empty, too empty. He began mopping floors, pushing the cart Clara had arranged, but his eyes kept drifting to doors with biometric locks, shredded papers, spilling from bins, faint humming from behind steel walls. It wasn't just an office, it was a fortress, and fortresses keep secrets. He bent down, picking up a piece of paper that had slipped free of a shredder bag. Just half a line of text remained. Trial Subject 14, terminated. His stomach knotted. He shoved the piece into his pocket before anyone could see. You must be the new man. Kai turned. A tall figure in an immaculate suit approached, mid-40s, sharp jawline, presence commanding the room without effort. Just here to clean, sir. Everyone cleans something, Mr. Mercer, was it? Kai froze. Clara must have told him. Clara speaks highly of your discipline. You'll find we value discipline here, especially with the trials. Trials. Miracles, really. Medicine that will change the future of humanity, eradicate weakness, rewrite survival itself. His eyes narrowed slightly, studying Kai like a specimen. And miracles, Mr. Mercer, require sacrifices. You of all people should understand that. Kai forced a polite nod. Yes, sir. Adrian's smile didn't reach his eyes. He patted Kai's shoulder and walked away, shoes echoing on the marble floor. Kai exhaled only when the man disappeared into a restricted elevator. The next morning, Kai sat at Lily's hospital bedside, exhausted. She stirred awake, her small hand tugging his sleeve. You look tired, Daddy. Just working late. Don't work too much, you'll miss my stories. Kai kissed her forehead, blinking back the burn in his eyes. The door opened. A young nurse entered with a chart in hand. Warm smile, hair tied back neatly. Morning, Lily. How's our sunshine today? Hi, Nurse Maya. Daddy stayed all night. Maya glanced at Kai, noting the circles under his eyes. You should get some rest too, Mr. Mercer. She'll need you. Strong. Kai studied her. She wasn't like the others. Her eyes carried quiet concern, but also something sharper. Awareness. Doctor said she needs a new drug. The Voss one. Maya hesitated, lowering her voice. Be careful with that. I've seen complications. They don't put everything in the reports. Kai's pulse quickened. What kind of complications? Children who don't come back from trials. Records that vanish overnight. All swept away by the companies. Lawyers. Kai stiffened. Clara's voice echoed again. There's a mess that needs cleaning. Daddy, am I gonna get the medicine? Kai forced a smile, though it felt like glass in his throat. I'll make sure you get what you need, sweetheart. But inside, his chest ached with the weight of the lie. That night, back in Voss Tower, Kai scrubbed floors near a surveillance room. Through the half-open door, he glimpsed screens, dozens of feeds, each showing sterile labs, children in hospital gowns, needles, restraints. A security officer closed the door quickly. Not your area. Move along. Kai nodded and wheeled, his cart away, but his fists clenched around the mop handle. Every corner of Voss Tower whispered of something darker. Every locked door, every shredded page, every forced smile. The question wasn't whether to open those doors. It was whether he could live with himself if he didn't. He paused, looking at his reflection in the glass wall. Janitor or soldier? Which one saves her? The question hung heavy in the silence. The hum of the floor polishers echoed down the empty corridors. Midnight in Voss Tower was supposed to feel deserted. It never did. Too many shadows. Too many locked doors humming faintly with unseen machinery. Kai pushed his cart past. A bank of offices, eyes scanning for another loose page or unguarded terminal. He'd learned to look busy while listening. The walls here were built to hide things. Tonight, one of the offices had been left ajar. Inside, a glowing monitor, text scrolling across in green code. Kai slipped inside, heart pounding. A thumb drive lay beside the keyboard. Bait, maybe, but he couldn't walk away. He sat, typing quickly. The files were encrypted, but the folder name said enough. Helix data, subject trials, anomalies. One open file flashed a string of jargon. Subject 37, rapid cellular decay, disposal authorized, helix viability compromised. Kai's throat tightened. Helix wasn't just research, it was something being tested and erased. He yanked a scrap of paper from his pocket, scribbling down what he could before. Don't close that. Now! Kai spun, fists clenched. In the doorway stood a man in glasses, early 40s, wiry frame hunched like he was used to shrinking into corners. His badge read, Daniel Cho IT Systems, you shouldn't be here. Funny, I was about to say the same thing. He shut the door quickly, glancing up at the ceiling camera. They watch everything, but not me. It has back doors. That's why. I'm still alive, Kai eyed him, unsure. Alive, what are you talking about? Daniel slipped a folded note into Kai's palm, his hand trembling. Read it later. Not now, just trust me on this. Helix isn't medicine, not for kids, not for anyone. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Daniel paled, backing toward another. Exit. Welcome aboard, janitor. Floors aren't gonna mop themselves. He slipped out just as the door opened again, and there he was. Rio, same swagger, same grin that Kai had seen in the ring, now in a black security uniform that fit like armor. Well, the soldier turned janitor. Thought I smelled bleach and desperation. Kai forced calm. Somebody's got to keep this place clean. Rio leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Oh, I'll keep an eye on you. Not sure what the boss sees in a mop pusher, but hey, maybe you'll surprise me again. His grin sharpened. Just don't get too curious. Around here, curiosity doesn't just kill cats. It buries them. He tapped his security badge and sauntered off, whistling. Kai exhaled, slowly. His fists itched to swing, but now wasn't the time. Later that night, Kai dumped trash into an incinerator chute and froze. A maintenance hatch below was cracked open. Beyond it, a faint glow. He crouched, peering down, a hidden elevator, unmarked, guarded by biometric scanners. Through the narrowing slit, he glimpsed a lab, rows of sterile glass chambers, liquid-filled pods, figures moving in white hazmat suits. Then, a child's cry, muffled, echoing. The hatch slammed shut above him, locked tight. Kai pressed his ear against the steel, breath heavy. The miracle Adrian Voss promised wasn't in the light of boardrooms. It was buried underground, behind locks that smelled of fear. Morning. Hospital. Lily's face looked paler than ever, her small frame lost in the blankets. Coughs racked her chest, crimson staining the tissue she held. Kai gripped her hand, whispering, "Hold on, baby girl, I've got this." Maya entered, eyes flicking between father and daughter. She adjusted Lily's IV gently, voice soft. "She had a rough night. Oxygen levels dipping. We're stabilizing." Kai's voice cracked. "The drug, the one from Voss, how soon can she get it?" Maya hesitated, lowering her tone. "Listen to me, Kai. You think that drug is a cure, but I've seen the trials. Kids injected. They don't heal, they change. Some don't survive the week." Kai's eyes burned. Then why are they still giving it to them? Because for Adrian Voss, failure is data, and children like Lily, they're just numbers on a spreadsheet. Kai's grip tightened on Lily's hand. "I won't let them make you a number." Lily stirred weakly, whispering, "Daddy, don't be sad." His throat closed. He forced a smile she couldn't see through his tears. That night, Kai unfolded the note Daniel had slipped him. The handwriting was jagged, rushed. Project Helix, not a cure. Genetic reprogramming. Subjects terminated or disappeared. Don't trust anyone, especially her. At the bottom, a final scrawl. If you want proof, follow the red wires in the sub-basement. Kai clenched the note in his fist. Her, Clara. Back in Voss Tower, Kai pushed his cart through dim corridors, eyes searching for the red wires. Hours passed, until finally, in a back utility shaft, he saw them. Thick cables snaking along the wall, painted in crimson insulation, disappearing into a locked steel door. He pressed his badge. Access denied. A guard rounded the corner. Rio again. Lost janitor? Kai forced a shrug, looking for the supply closet. Supplies aren't down here, you should know that by now. Their eyes locked. For a heartbeat, Kai thought Rio might draw on him. Then a smile split his face. One of these nights, old man. We're gonna finish that fight, and I'll break you in front of the whole crowd this time. He walked off, laughter echoing down the shaft. Kai let out a slow breath, hand still resting on the steel door. Whatever was behind it, Helix was waiting. The deeper Kai went, the less the world looked like medicine, and the more it looked like war. The rain-slicked streets outside the hospital gleamed under neon signs. Kai leaned against the wall, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. When Clara's sleek black sedan pulled up, he already knew she wouldn't be here for small talk. The tinted window lowered. Clara's eyes, sharp even in the dim glow, studied him. Get in. We don't have time. Kai slid into the passenger. His seat, the smell of leather and perfume, a stark contrast to the hospital's sterile air. Lily almost didn't make it through the night. You got something better than orders for me? Clara didn't flinch. What I have is a chance. One of Voss's former employees walked out with a hard drive. It contains Helix protocols. If Adrian finds it first, it's gone. If we get it, you'll have leverage, maybe even Lily's cure. Kai's jaw clenched. And you just want me to fetch it like I'm still your soldier. You're not a soldier anymore, Kai. You're a father. And this is how fathers keep their children alive. Her words cut deep. The next evening, Clara gave him the name Thomas Keller, a former lab technician. Rumor had it Keller was hiding under protection, but not from Voss, from people who didn't want the drive surfacing at all. Kai found the run-down motel on the edge of the city. The flickering vacancy sign buzzed, throwing light on peeling paint. He knocked on the door, no answer. Behind him a voice rumbled, "You don't want to be here, son." Kai turned. A broad-shouldered man in a worn trench coat stood in the shadows, the weight of years and battles in his stance. His badge was long gone, but everything about him screamed law enforcement. Name's Briggs. Used to be a cop. Used to matter. Now, I keep an eye on the mess people like Clara make. Kai's guard went up immediately. You know her. Better than you want to. She's clever, dangerous, and she'll trade you the second you stop being useful. Kai narrowed his eyes, and why should I trust you? Briggs stepped closer, rain dripping from his coat. Because 5 years ago I had a file, Voss Industries. Missing kids, vanished trial subjects, money flowing offshore. I built a case. Then one morning, the file was gone. Erased. My badge. And who do you think signed the paperwork that made it disappear? Kai's stomach twisted. Clara. I don't know what she promised you, but men like Adrian Voss don't hand out miracles. They sell lies, and Clara's just the wrapping paper. Back in the car later, Clara confronted him the moment he slid into the seat. Met Briggs, didn't you? Kai didn't answer. Listen to me. Briggs wants to bury this. He failed before, and now he wants company in his failure. You're different. You still have something worth fighting for. Kai's fists tightened on his knees. And you? What do you have worth fighting for, Clara? Or is it just contracts and blood money? For the first time, her eyes flickered, a crack in her polished mask. "You don't know half of it." That night, in Lily's hospital room, the beeping, monitors spiked. Maya's voice shouted from the hall, "Code Blue!" Kai burst in just as Lily's small body convulsed, nurses swarming around her. The world blurred, alarms shouting, Maya pressing a mask over Lily's face. Kai shoved through, grabbing his daughter's hand. "Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. I'm right here." Her eyelids fluttered, lips tinged blue. "I'll tear the world apart to save you. Do you hear me? I'll burn it all down." The monitors steadied slowly, the storm passing. Lily drifted back, fragile breaths filling the silence. Maya looked at Kai, eyes wet. "She doesn't have much time left." Kai pressed his forehead against Lily's hand, every nerve in his body screaming. Narrator: "For a soldier, battles were fought with weapons. But for a father, battles were fought with promises you couldn't afford to break." Outside the hospital, Briggs waited under the street lamp. "You saw it, didn't you? She's slipping away. That's why Clara's got you on a leash. She knows you'll do anything." Kai didn't answer, staring at the pavement. "You've got a choice, Kai. You can dance for Clara, or you can dig for the truth. Just know this, one of those choices will kill your daughter faster." Kai finally looked up, rage in his eyes. "Then I'll make my own choice, and God help anyone who stands in my way." The storm rolled overhead, thunder echoing like war drums. Cliffhanger. Kai prepares for the hunt. The mop bucket squeaked softly across the polished tiles of Voss Tower. To anyone watching the cameras, Kai looked like any other janitor on night shift. Uniform crisp, badge visible, cart filled with bleach bottles and rags. But beneath the rags lay a stolen access card Daniel had coded, and a small crowbar Kai had kept since his army days. Tonight, he wasn't cleaning floors. He was breaking into hell. Some battles were fought in open fields, others in silence beneath the world's feet. Kai knew both, and tonight silence would have to be his weapon. The freight elevator groaned as it sank past the lowest marked floor. Kai's heart hammered. When the doors opened, he wheeled his cart into a concrete hallway lined with red wires, just like Daniel's note had promised. A steel door loomed at the end. Kai swiped the card. A soft beep. The lock clicked. He slipped inside. The lab stretched. Like a frozen cathedral, rows of cryogenic chambers glowing blue in the dark. Frost curled on the glass panes. Inside each chamber and small figures. Children. Kai staggered forward, breath catching, their faces pale, tubes threading into fragile arms. Monitors above displayed labels, Subject 12, Subject 18, Subject 24, each. Chamber had a name scrawled on the file clipped to its base. He read them aloud in a broken whisper. Maya Thompson. Javier Cruz, Anna Lee, each name a child stolen, a life reduced to data. He stopped at one file, Subject 37. The note chilled him. Severe genetic destabilization. Termination recommended. Kai's knuckles turned white on the clipboard. Then he saw the next file. His blood froze. Subject 41, Lily Kairos. The chamber was empty, a placeholder, but her name was there. His daughter was already on their list. Alarms blared, red lights strobed. A voice thundered from the intercom. Unauthorized. Access detected. Sector lockdown initiated. Kai slammed the clipboard down, sprinting back toward the hallway. Footsteps echoed, guards shouting, boots pounding. He veered into a maintenance hatch, crowbar prying it open just as gunfire sparked against the walls. The tunnels reeked of oil and rust. He crawled, scraped, dragged himself through tight shafts while alarms wailed above. At one point, a guard's flashlight beam swept inches from his boots as he pressed himself flat, not daring to breathe. Finally, the tunnels spat him out into a boiler room 2 floors above. He collapsed against the pipes, sweat mixing with grime, lungs burning. He'd seen enough. Back in the city, Kai met Daniel in the dim glow of a diner booth. The IT tech's hands shook as he stirred his coffee, but his eyes widened when Kai dropped. The stolen clipboard on the table. Jesus, kids, cryo chambers. I thought they were just lab rats, not... Kai cut him off, voice steel. Not kids like Lily. They had her name. Her file. She's next. Daniel swallowed hard, guilt flickering across his face. Daniel, I tried to blow the whistle once. They scrubbed me clean. My wife left. Said I was paranoid. But this is proof. Kai leaned. Closer. Then help me. I can't do this alone. A new voice broke in. Neither can I. She slid into the booth, her nurse's scrubs under a heavy coat. She'd overheard enough to recognize the files. I've seen kids come in for those trials. They never go home. If you want to expose Voss, I'm in. For the first time, Kai felt less alone, but peace never lasted long. That night, Clara found him. She stormed into his apartment, heels clicking against the floor, eyes blazing. Do you have any idea what you've done? Alarms, lockdowns. Adrian is already asking questions. If he connects this to you, you're dead, and Lily with you. Kai stood tall, meeting her fury. You didn't tell me kids were locked in freezers. You didn't tell me Lily was already marked. You used me. Clara froze at the name, just for a heartbeat. Her mask faltered, something human breaking through. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Not all of us are loyal to Adrian. Kai's eyes narrowed. Then what are you? Her gaze lingered, unreadable, before she turned toward the door. Consider that your first clue. Use it wisely, or it'll be your last. She left, silence heavier than any alarm. Allies blurred into enemies and enemies into shadows. But one truth cut clear. Lily's time was running out, and the only way forward was straight through the fire. The night air in the city was thick with fog, wrapping Voss Tower in a halo of light. Kai sat in Daniel's cluttered apartment, files and scribbled notes scattered across the table. Daniel pointed to a decrypted document glowing on his laptop. See this? Project Helix? It's not just regenerative medicine, they're rewriting DNA sequences, acceleration of muscle fibers, enhanced pain resistance, rapid recovery. It's a soldier's blueprint. Kai leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You're saying this isn't about saving lives, it's about building weapons? Daniel nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. And Voss isn't working alone. Look at these transfers. Millions flowing in from a classified military account. A knock rattled the door. Daniel jumped, nearly spilling his coffee. Clara stepped inside without waiting for permission, her heels clicking against the floor. Her face was pale, tense, more fragile than Kai had ever seen. He's right. Voss has military backing. There's someone you need to know about. General Marcus Kane. Kai's gaze sharpened. And who's he? Military liaison. Cold, calculated. He's been funneling funds into Helix for years. He doesn't care if kids die in the process, because his goal isn't medicine. It's soldiers. Biotech super. Soldiers. Kai's fists clenched. And you've been helping him. Clara's mask cracked. She exhaled sharply, looking away. My brother, he was in the first round of trials. Voss promised he'd be cured. Instead, I buried him in a closed casket. I stayed to survive. But don't think for a second I've forgiven them. The silence weighed heavy. For the first time, Kai saw not just a manipulator, but a grieving sister caught in the same web. For Clara, loyalty wasn't measured in contracts. It was measured in graves. The next night, Kai pulled into the hospital parking garage, exhaustion dragging at his bones. Lily's condition was slipping fast, but as he closed the car door, a shadow detached from the concrete pillar. Rio, his grin was gone, his eyes were ice. You've been busy, janitor, too busy. He stepped forward, fists curling. Move aside, I don't have time for you. Oh, you'll make time. The general doesn't ill. The fight was savage. No audience, no rules. Just bone against bone, grunt against breath. Kai blocked the first strike, countered with a jab to Rio's ribs, but the younger man was faster, sharper, honed for combat. Rio slammed Kai against a pillar, fists hammering. Thought you were tough in the ring. Down here you're just meat. Kai spat blood, eyes burning. Try me. He drove his knee up, cracked Rio's jaw with an elbow, then locked him in a chokehold. Rio thrashed, slamming Kai against the concrete until cracks spread like spider webs. Finally, Kai twisted, sending Rio crashing onto the hood of a car. The alarm blared, echoing through the garage. Kai staggered, chest heaving. Rio rolled off the hood, laughing through blood. You've got fight, old man, but you're in too deep. And the general, he doesn't forgive, he doesn't forget. He limped away into the shadows, leaving Kai shaking, adrenaline still burning. Back at the hospital, Kai sat by Lily's bed, her breaths shallow, each one a battle. He whispered, voice raw. They think they can turn kids like you into weapons. They think they can take you from me. But I'll stop them, Lily, I swear it. Her small hand twitched in his, the faintest flicker of life. The next day, Clara met him in the hospital cafeteria. Her eyes scanned the room, making sure no one was listening. She slid a folder across the table. General Kane arrives tomorrow. He's meeting with Adrian to finalize Phase 2 of Helix. If that happens, it won't just be about your daughter anymore. It'll be global. Armies of weaponized children, and you can't imagine how many governments are waiting to buy. Kai opened the folder. Photos of Kane, a tall, silver-haired man, his uniform immaculate, his stare cold and calculating. That's the man behind the curtain, and the man who'll kill you if you don't move fast. Lily's life was the spark, but the fire Kai stumbled into was set to engulf the world. The night sky was storm dark, the kind of night where lightning cut the city into fragments. Voss Tower loomed above, glass shimmering like a predator's eye. Kai crouched by the service entrance, hood drawn low. Beside him, Briggs adjusted a worn holster, his jaw tight. Daniel carried a small case of tools, fingers twitching. Maya clutched a medical kit, not for the mission, but for Kai, because she knew the toll this would take. Clara appeared last, heels abandoned, trench coat pulled tight, her face pale. We only get one shot. The files are locked in sub-level 5. Encrypted servers, biometric locks, armed guards. We pull this off, the world knows what Voss is hiding. And if we don't, Clara's gaze darkened, then Helix goes global, and no child is safe. Lightning flashed. The plan began. Phase 1. Infiltration. Daniel slid a card into the service panel. Sparks popped. The lock clicked. The group slipped inside, shadows moving through sterile hallways. Cameras scanned silently overhead. Clara produced a device from her coat, a military-grade jammer. 10 seconds of blackout per camera. Don't waste them. They moved like ghosts. Laser grids shimmered faintly across a corridor. Daniel knelt, sweat already dripping. Of course, it had to be lasers. Kai steadied him with a hand. You can do this. For Lily, Daniel exhaled, typed rapidly. The beams flickered, then cut out. See? Easy. A hum of servers grew louder as they descended deeper. Each door was a new obstacle. Encrypted codes Clara deciphered. Retinal scanners Briggs bypassed with a stolen eye-print disc. At one point, they reached a shredder room. Bins full of shredded documents, piles of secrets ripped apart. Maya froze, pulling a piece of paper free. Names. These are names of children. Hospitals, dates, failures. They destroyed the evidence. Kai's fists clenched, then we put it back together. They stuffed documents into bags, every scrap proof of the lives stolen. The truth. Finally, sub-level 5. The lab. The doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, rows of cryogenic chambers lined the walls, frost glowing under sterile lights. Tiny shoes and hospital gowns hung discarded on hooks. Daniel's hands shook as he typed. Into a terminal. Files unlocked, data scrolled, names, ages, failed trials, hundreds of children across the globe, notes marked erased, unrecoverable. Maya's eyes welled. They didn't just test on them, they discarded them. Clara's voice cracked for the first time. "My brother's file, find it," Daniel typed. A photo appeared, a boy, 12 years old. Subject 1041, cause of death, cellular breakdown. Clara turned away, shoulders trembling. Some files weren't just evidence. They were gravestones. A slow clap echoed through the chamber. Rio. He stepped out from the shadows, bruises from the garage fight still raw, but his smirk intact. "Cute little team you've built, janitor. Shame it ends here." He cracked his neck, fists raised. Kai stepped. Forward. "I don't want this fight." "Too bad. I do." The fight erupted. Metal clanged as fists slammed into walls. Glass shattered. Rayo fought like a wolf, feral and merciless. But Kai fought with something greater, a father's fury. Rio pinned him against a console, choking him. "You can't win." Kai surged upward, headbutted him, then slammed Rio to the floor. He raised his fist for the killing blow, then stopped. "I'm not your enemy. Adrian is. He's using you, just like he used the children." Rio froze, blood dripping from his lip. For a moment, doubt flickered in his eyes. Kai released him. "Walk away, or stand up and fight the right war." Rio lay still, silent. Phase 4. Confrontation. The main lab doors hissed open. Adrian Voss strode in. Flanked by General Kane, Adrian's suit was immaculate, his smile sharp. Kane's stare was steel, his presence colder than the storm outside. "Impressive, Kai, but you're late. The Helix trials are already funded, approved, unstoppable." Kai stepped forward, fists still clenched. "You call sacrificing children progress?" Adrian's eyes gleamed. "Every empire is built on sacrifice. History will remember me as a visionary. And you? Just a janitor with nothing left to lose." Kai's voice broke with raw rage. "Not my daughter. Not Lily." Kane's voice cut through, cold as a blade. "Enough. Voss, secure the files. I'll deal with him." But Clara stepped forward, raising her phone. "No. The world will deal with you." She tapped the screen. Every file Daniel had cracked, every photo, every death report, streamed live. Adrian's confident smile faltered as his secrets bled onto the global stage. "Turn that off. Tell it to the millions watching." Phase 5. Explosive fight. Kane roared, drawing a weapon. Gunfire erupted. The group scattered. Kai lunged, knocking the gun aside. He and Kane clashed, military training against military training. Every strike was lethal, every block precise. Briggs provided cover fire, holding off guards. Daniel yanked cables, forcing the system into meltdown. Maya dragged the shredded evidence into bags, shouting for everyone to move. Kai slammed Kane into a glass chamber. "You can't stop an army with one man." "I only need to save one girl." He crushed Kane's arm against the glass, forcing him to drop the blade. Kane snarled, retreating into the smoke of explosions. "This isn't over. Helix will rise, with or without Voss." He vanished into the chaos. Adrian stumbled back, cornered. Clara's livestream still broadcast his face, his crimes. "Wait, you don't understand. The science, it's revolutionary. I can cure diseases, rebuild nations." Kai grabbed him by the collar. "At what cost? Not my daughter. Not anyone's." He slammed Adrian against the console. Sirens wailed as law enforcement stormed in. Agents pinned Adrian down, cuffing him. Adrian's voice echoed as he was dragged away. "You're fools. The future needs sacrifice. The world will thank me." But his words drowned beneath the alarms. Climax resolution. The group staggered out into the storm, the tower behind them ablaze with flashing lights. Clara leaned against the wall, shaking. "He's finished. It's over." Kai shook his head, staring into the rain. "No, Adrian's done, but Kane, he's still out there." Lightning cracked overhead. The storm raged on. The empire of lies had crumbled, but in the shadows, war was only beginning. The storm broke with dawn. By sunrise, Voss Tower was no longer a fortress of glass and steel, but a crime scene swarming with agents. Yellow tape stretched across shattered doors. Federal trucks lined the street. Sirens faded into the morning haze. Adrian Voss's empire, once untouchable, lay in ruins. News anchors filled every screen across the nation. Breaking. Federal authorities have confirmed the arrest of Adrian Voss, CEO of Voss Industries. Shocking revelations of illegal medical trials and global human experimentation have ignited outrage worldwide. Footage played. Adrian in cuffs, his perfect suit rumpled, hair wild, eyes blazing with denial. You don't understand. This was for progress, for humanity. But the world no longer listened. Inside interrogation rooms, his lawyers scrambled. Federal raids unearthed encrypted servers, hidden labs, and financial records tying Voss to military contracts. His trial was set. He would face charges of crimes against humanity. But behind every headline, whispers remained. General Kane had vanished. Agents found traces, shredded orders, encrypted communications, offshore accounts funneled into defense. Budgets, Adrian Voss was in chains. But Kane was a ghost, and a ghost with power is the most dangerous kind. Whispers spread through military circles. Kane was building something new, deeper underground, away from the spotlight. Some said Helix wasn't dead, just waiting for another name, another stage. Meanwhile, Clara vanished. For weeks, Kai checked every news report, scanned every feed, no word, no trace. One morning, Daniel slid a file across Kai's table. She used her last clearance codes to vanish from the grid. Europe, maybe. South America. Nobody knows. Kai stared at the empty file, lips tight. Was she running or protecting herself? Daniel shrugged, uneasy. With Clara, maybe both, and that was the last anyone heard of her. A ghost in her own right. Daniel's redemption, unlike Clara. Daniel stepped into the light. Footage aired of him testifying. Before a congressional panel, hands trembling but voice steady. I was part of the IT team at Voss. I saw the files, I helped cover them, but the truth had to come out. Those children didn't have voices, so I'm lending them mine. The room erupted in applause. Daniel became the whistleblower hero, not because he was brave from the start, but because he chose courage when it mattered most. He later visited Kai, sheepish. Can you believe it? Me, on national television. My mom nearly fainted. Kai clasped his shoulder, pride in his eyes. You did more than speak. You gave those kids justice. Maya and Lillian, a quiet hospital wing. Lily began a new chapter. The Helix drug was gone, banned, exposed as poison. But research from outside labs, untainted by greed, offered hope. Maya guided the treatment carefully, ensuring Lily received the safest therapies available. Weeks passed. The coughing lessened. The weakness lifted. One afternoon, Kai arrived to find Lily sitting up, sketching pictures with bright crayons. Maya stood beside her, smiling warmly. Daddy, look, I drew us. See, you're the tall one, and I'm the one kicking the bad guys. Kai chuckled, his eyes misting. Looks just like us. Maya placed a gentle hand on his arm. She's responding. Well, stronger every day, I think she's going to make it. For the first time in years, Kai let himself breathe. Kai's ordinary life, the war was over, for now. But Kai knew he couldn't live in shadows anymore. He put away his old uniforms, his weapons, his secrets. He returned to work, not as an infiltrator or soldier, but as a man who fixed what was broken. Janitorial jobs, handyman work, small contracts, honest labor. Neighbors waved when he passed, parents nodded at him in the market. He was no longer invisible. One evening, Briggs stopped by. Doesn't suit you blending into normal life, but maybe it's what you need. Kai smiled faintly. For Lily, it's exactly what I need, Briggs nodded, slipping him a card. If Kane resurfaces, you'll hear from me. Until then, live, Kai. You've earned it. And just like that, Briggs faded back into his world, always chasing ghosts, the dojo. Months later, the city moved on. The scandals became history, but in a small community center, life bloomed again. The dojo smelled of sweat and tatami mats, filled with laughter instead of jeers. Children sparred gently, practicing stances. Among them was Lily, healthy, smiling, her hair tied back. She guided a younger boy's hands into the right form. No, like this. Hands up, feet steady. You're strong, you just need balance. Parents watched proudly from the benches. At the back of the room, Kai stood, arms folded, a soft smile tugging at his lips. He wasn't in the ring. He wasn't fighting shadows. He was just a father, watching his daughter thrive. A faint memory returned. That first night in the underground dojo, the crowd jeering, Rio's mocking words. Let's see if a janitor can last even one punch. Kai closed his eyes briefly. Back then, he had fought for survival. Now he was fighting for something greater. Lily's laughter, the narrator's closing. He was a janitor, a father, a fighter. In saving his daughter, he revealed a truth the world wasn't ready for, but needed to see. And though the storm had passed, its shadows lingered. Somewhere out there, Kane still moved his pieces. But for Kai, peace wasn't found in victory. It was found in a smile, a laugh, a daughter's second chance at life. The camera lingered on Lily, her laughter ringing out like sunlight through the dojo.